Hello, it's Kat from Cardigang, and today I'm going to show you how to knit your V-neck. So let's dive right in and get straight to it. We'll be picking up stitches along this neckline. We're going to pretend that we've got a fully finished piece here, but essentially you'll just need a pair of circular needles. We've got our 10mm needles, our chunky Aussie merino wool. We've sewn our shoulder seams together and we have some handy stitch markers. So we'll pick up stitches along this neckline. There's two golden rules. One is we want a stitch at the base of the V, which you can see there. And we also want to pick up an even amount of stitches so that we can create that nice ribbing effect. So we'll just work along the neckline here, picking up stitches as we go. And now we're about to reach the bottom of the V. So we've got two stitches left. We've got this one, and then our next stitch is going to be at the base of the V. And we'll continue to pick up stitches all the way around the loop and count as you go to ensure that you end up with an even amount of stitches. So you can see here we've finished our first loop, and now we'll mark that first stitch in the loop with our stitch marker. You can either put an elastic band over your needles, but we sort of like to use stitch markers as it makes it super simple. And then we'll also mark that bottom stitch at the base of the V-neck. So you can see the start of our loop and then the base of the V-neck. Now we need this stitch down the bottom to be a knit stitch. So to figure out what you're starting on, we just count back knit, purl, and then all the way up to the top to see if you're starting on a knit stitch or a purl stitch. So today we're starting on a knit stitch. So we knit our ribbing in the round. So our first loop is going to be our setup loop, and that is simply knit purl, so a 1x1 rib stitch all the way around. So we finished our setup loop, and now it's time to do our second loop. So we'll continue to do our rib stitch until we get 2 stitches before that one at the base of the V-neck with our second stitch marker. So it's time to do a decrease so we get that nice V-neck effect. So you can see we've got our marked stitch here and we have one stitch the purl before. So what we're going to do is we will slide our needle under both of those stitches, and rather than knit it, we're just going to slip it off onto our right hand needle like that. It's as simple as just slipping them off. Now we knit our next stitch. It's very important that we knit that next stitch. And then we're going to slide these 2 stitches over the top of that last stitch, similar to casting a stitch off. So slip your left hand needle under the 2 stitches that we didn't knit. It can be a bit tight and tricky, but persistence beats resistance. So slip that over, and then ta-da, you've got your 3 stacked stitches. And then we will continue to do our ribbing all the way around. So as you continue to decrease, that sort of next stitch will either be a knit or a purl, so just have a look at what you're up to. Okay, so we'll show you one more time. So you can see we've got 1 stitch ahead of that marked stitch with our decrease. So we slip our right needle under the 2 stitches on our left needle and then transfer them across. And then we knit our next stitch. And now we're going to slip the 2 slipped stitches back over that knitted stitch like you would if you were casting off. And then I like to kind of pull that working yarn so that it holds the stitch onto my right needle. And ta-da! Now we have 4 stacked stitches. So you'll continue to do this decrease sequence for the allocated amount of rows in your ribbed neckline.